and welcome to the Rick House. My name is Cyrus Farmer, and you are watching and listening to the Stomp the Tee podcast. Folks, we are coming at you a day late. I was at a book signing last night that required my attendance, but I am here today and ready to jump into it with both feet. So, folks, let me tell you what we're going to be talking about. Obviously, we will be talking about last week's PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. We'll go over what happened there and what I think about what happened, so on and so forth. And of course, it's the only game in town as far as I'm concerned. The NBA playoffs, the conference finals began this week, and we have a lot to talk about on both sides of that ledger. So we'll be talking about that as well. And of course, we will also be dealing with everyone's favorite segment. What are you drinking tonight? So let's just jump right into the show, folks. As we jump in, you all know this is day 76 of the Wolf Watch. Yes, my wife is still not opened the Wolf Gourmet Convection Oven that we bought her for her birthday, which was on February 21st. It's been 76 days since we tried to return it, and we're told it is too late. I'm hoping we actually get to keep it. Let's open the box. Let's get this thing going. My wife is still on the fence about it. Hence, the box is unopened. Wolf Watch continues, day 76. We'll keep you posted. All right. The PGA Championship. Folks, I don't know what else to say, but is there anyone you would bet on in golf today outside of Scottie Scheffler if he is in the field? I mean, he has just done an unbelievable job just putting a stranglehold on the game right now. I mean, look, Scottie is as dominant as any golfer we have ever seen in any era. You can talk Jack, you can talk Tiger, you can talk Jordan Spieth during his 1 year run, a year and a half run in 2015, let's say. You can talk all sorts of options. But Scottie is as dominant now as a player as we've ever seen. Now, if you're going to be Tiger, obviously, you have to do it for at least another, 8 years if you're Scottie Scheffler. And you got to win, let's say 7, 8 more majors. That's the question. Will Scottie Scheffler get to 10 majors? That's what I really want to know. Does he get to double digits? I'm not sure about that. It'll be interesting to see. Look, if nobody stands up to him, he's certainly got a chance. But speaking of standing up to him, where are all the other golfers? I mean, Rory McIlroy, I know you completed the career Grand Slam, but are you going to take the entire rest of the year off as far as competitiveness is concerned? You're allowed. I mean, if that's what you're going to do, you're allowed. Xander Schauffele, hello? Are you planning on attending any golf tournament that you register for? Anyone seen Colin Morikawa around? Colin, you're around? You playing golf these days? I mean, it's like, my word. Oh, don't let me leave you out. Ludwig, yeah. Are you going to be on the golf course today? How about Viktor Hovland? I mean, Scottie Scheffler is blowing these guys away, and all the credit belongs to him. More power to him. Great job doing what he has to do. It's pretty impressive. Now, of course, Bryson DeChambeau was in the mix throughout the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But let's be fair, I don't believe he ever got close enough on Sunday to become a factor. He was, hanging around, but he could never get close enough. I really did think that John Rahm was going to win the actual tournament once he tied Scottie. I think it was on 9, once he tied for the lead. And then it's like Scottie Scheffler went into a different gear, just literally started making birdie after birdie. Rahm actually ended up having a couple bad breaks, but for whatever reason, couldn't get back into that lead position. Scotty slowly but surely separated himself and pulled away until Rahm had to take some chances that no golfer wants to take, because you know about the likelihood of success is very small. But because he's behind and he's running out of holes, he has to go for some of these pins, and of course, and almost always ends up biting you when you do that. So nothing wrong with his effort. He's just a very, very, very good golfer. One of the great golfers of the day, obviously. I have to say this. I think you saw after John Rahm and John's kind of been missing in action since he won the Masters and moved over to Live. He says that Live has not been the reason he hasn't played well. He feels that he had some swing issues post winning the Masters, prior to going to Live, that he's still trying to figure out. But I just don't believe that. I mean, John Rahm may have swing issues, but I think Live golfers in general are starting to kind of see the disadvantage that playing on that tour saddles them with, because they simply don't have two things that you have every day on the PGA Tour. You don't have a level of competition on championship courses that are going to push you week in, week out, not to mention majors, but week in, week out on the PGA Tour. You are going to be tested with a quality golf course in front of you, and usually a very, very good field, especially for the signature events. That's the first thing. The second thing that happens where Live golfers are at a disadvantage is the 54-hole tournament, reduction. Live golf events only played 3 days. It's like playing on the Champions Tour, basically. So they play 54 holes, decides a winner. PGA Tour, obviously, it's 72 holes. 72 holes decides the winner. That's 4 rounds of 18 holes per round. Look, I can tell you from personal experience, whatever you do in golf, no matter how good you are or how bad you think you are, 18 holes always tells the story. You don't know if you're having a good round and you've improved, or if you're having a horrible round and you'll never improve until you play a full 18. 18 always tells the tale. So you could have a great front nine, a so-so back nine, right? Or you could have a middling start, a great middle, and then a steady finish. But that's why you play 18 holes. That's why 18 holes is in a round. Now, you can practice 4 or 5 holes. That's fine. You can play a front nine here. You can play a back nine there. But you never know what the state of your game is until you play a full 18, because 18 always tells the tale. Now, with Live, those guys are playing 54 holes. It's like literally playing 12 holes of golf, essentially. You don't have, or what's 18 divided, what's 72 divided by 4? I guess that would be 1, 3. You know what I mean. It's basically a court. It's like playing 15 holes of golf, basically, right? So with that 54 holes, you're at a competitive disadvantage, because PGA Tour players are used to playing that last 18. They're used to playing that last day. They're used to playing that last round. Whereas you kind of started to see the Live players run out of gas a little bit or stall. Look at Bryson at the Masters this past April, about a month and a half ago. Sunday, for whatever reason, he got up to a good start against Roy, first 2 holes, but after the second hole, he was pretty much out of it. Same thing with John Rahm. He was able to catch Scheffler last week at the PGA, but couldn't stay with him. I think they don't have the stamina. They've not been able to readjust to that extra 18 holes, going from 54 to 72 at a competitive level. I think that's a real disadvantage for the LIV golfers. Now, don't get me wrong. Just last year, Bryson won the U.S. Open with a very, very strong finish after Rory blew putt after putt after putt. I think he missed 3 short putts out of the last 4 holes to basically hand the U.S. Open to Bryson DeChambeau. But Bryson hung in there, he stayed with it, and he made an incredible up and down on 18 to earn his U.S. Open title that happened, I believe that was at Pinehurst. So, that notwithstanding, I think the longer these guys stay on it, I think the harder it's going to be for them to compete in these majors with PGA golfers simply because they don't have the stamina. And let's also be fair. The competition level at LIV does not seem to be overly high. I mean, the team element may have something to do with that, but you don't get the sense that these guys are grinding LIV golfers. You don't get the sense they're grinding to eke out these wins. I've never watched a LIV event, so I might be totally wrong about this, but just based off of what I've read, based off of what I've heard on places like PGA Radio and Golf Channel, places like that, other sources, Golf Magazine, they don't seem to be grinding the way most tour players do on the PGA Tour to get these wins, whether they're majors or whether they're regular tour events. The competition level is just higher on the PGA Tour. So when you get thrown into that, I think you're definitely at a disadvantage. I mean, when's the last time anyone heard of Cam Smith when he contended, right? Where's Sergio? I know Lee Westwood is older, but I mean, Henrik Stenson, he's older as well. But these guys, they don't even make the top 20 anymore. I mean, when's the last time Brooks Koepka? I know 2 years ago, you're going to tell me. Great, he won the PGA. But that was when he was essentially fresh off the PGA Tour. The longer he has been on the LIV Tour, the less success Brooks has had contending in these majors. Has anyone, and I mean anyone, seen Dustin Johnson anywhere near a leaderboard in the majors since he's joined the LIV Tour? The answer is no. So I think whether it's the music in the background, whether it's the shotgun starts, whether it's the team aspect, I think LIV golfers are at a competitive disadvantage more and more when it comes to jumping into these majors from LIV. So I think they're going to have a hard time competing. I think that will continue to be the case. We'll see. Maybe Rahm will prove me wrong. Maybe Bryson DeChambeau will be the exception. He can find a way to win a major this year like he did last year. Who knows? We'll see. But my suspicion is that LIV golfers are going to become progressively less successful in these major appearances simply because of those two reasons, the level of competition on championship courses and the 54-hole versus 72-hole tournament rounds. So those are our thoughts on the PGA Championship that occurred last week. Will be interesting to see what happens at Oakmont. That's going to answer a lot of questions for us. Not all of them, but it'll answer some questions like, is Rory McIlroy going to show up at either the U.S. Open or the Open Championship at Royal Portrush? You would think he's going to do something, but maybe not. Maybe he's still on a victory tour. And Xander Schauffele, again, I know you were hurt early in the year, just like Scotty was. But it is time for you to clock in for work, my friend. Xander, you got to clock in for work. Where are you? I need to see you put a stamp on last year's 2 major win season by winning or being really competitive in one of the last 2 majors of this year, 2025. Come on, Xander. I know you have it in you. You're a 2-time major champion. Show us that was not a special year. Show us that's who you are now. Max Homa, he's having all sorts of problems, we know. Wyndham Clark, up and down, who knows. And again, Colin Morikawa, boy, oh boy, it is time for you to take another sip because it's been a while since you've drunk from a Champions Cup, whether it's a major or any win. So come on, Colin. Let's see you show up. Justin Thomas, same deal, right? Wouldn't mind seeing you win another major as well. But for now, it's Scotty Scheffler's world, and we're all just spectators. Okay, so that was the PGA Championship. Now, let's get to the conference finals in the NBA. Folks, let's talk first about the Western Conference Finals. I have to say, Oklahoma City and Minnesota. I picked Minnesota to win this series in 7 games. And there's an old adage that a series doesn't start until one of the teams win a road game, right? So clearly, Oklahoma City held serve, winning the first 2 games at home. Game 3 is in Minnesota tomorrow night being Saturday. And we'll see what, if anything, the Timberwolves can do to stave off the incredibly impressive to this point Oklahoma City Thunder. I got to tell you, the strange thing about this series is that even though the Timberwolves were in the Western Conference Finals just last year, different team, obviously. They had Karl Anthony Towns. They did not have Julius Randle, so on and so forth. But it is Oklahoma City that looks like the team with all the experience. And Minnesota, I don't want to say they look shell-shocked because that's not true. I don't want to say they look overwhelmed because that's not true. It just looks like they haven't found a way to get into the series yet. The Oklahoma City Thunder defense, and I haven't seen a lot of Oklahoma City during the course of the year. People say this is the team they've been all year. I'm sure that's true, but this is my first time, this series and the Denver series. It's my first time actually getting a chance to watch them because the games are on so late usually. They are a handful. Boy, oh boy. I mean, that defense for Oklahoma City is just very, very difficult to deal with. Yes, Anthony Edwards was more aggressive in Game 2 last night than he was in Game 1. Yes, Minnesota is playing close in these games early. But they have to find a way, Minnesota. They have to find a way to kind of get Oklahoma City out of their jerseys. I mean, Oklahoma City is just playing a very physical, aggressive form of defense. And you have to, if you're Minnesota, not just Anthony Edwards, the whole team, you have to find a way to get inside on that zone and put the onus on the referees to blow the whistles. Oklahoma City is not going to be able to slap the ball out of your hands and steal the ball 25 times a quarter if you keep going inside. You can't live on the 3-point line if you're Minnesota because you're kind of letting Oklahoma City off the hook. You have to actually see if you can get past that defense. I know they have fast hands. I know they're very good on team defense. I get all of that. But you have to, it's kind of like the run game in football. You have to keep trying to get inside on Oklahoma City because otherwise they're going to keep you locked out and then you're going to have to depend on making jumpers, usually 3-pointers, in order to stay in the game. And as we all know, you can live by the 3, but you can also die by the 3. It's not a very efficient way to approach winning a basketball game, let alone a series, especially when you have players like Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, who can all get to the cup. They can get to the 10. So put the pressure on Oklahoma City, put the pressure on these officials, drive the basketball, and then just take your chances. They can't keep fouling you without getting called for it the entire time. Now, speaking of fouls, yes, uh, Shea. I always forget his middle first name of the hyphenate, but let's say SGA. SGA won the MVP, was presented with the MVP award last night. Good for him, great for him, well deserved. Kudos. But I do have to say, getting a chance to watch him play over the last 3 or 4 games, it's amazing. I mean, it's like he's won 4 or 5 MVPs simply because he gets so many whistles. I mean, it is unbelievable. I mean, this guy, look, he is a great player. But if he's going to get every single whistle, he's impossible to defend. He's so good with the ball, such great body control, uh, great mid-range game, can hit a three, can take it to the basket. I mean, if he's going to get every single whistle, SGA becomes impossible to defend. And I don't know how Oklahoma City doesn't go 75-7 next year, if that's going to be the case. He really puts teams in a bind by putting offensive pressure on them to guard him without fouling or without being called for fouling. I kind of like this Thunder team. They're fun to watch. Chet Williams is actually Jalen Williams is actually showing up now. He's kind of looking like he did, I suppose, throughout the regular season. Oklahoma City is a fun team to watch, and I have to say, as far as Minnesota's concerned, Anthony Edwards. Look, he has an interesting demeanor as far as I'm concerned. Sometimes you'll see him smiling when they're down, or he'll be cracking a joke in a presser about something else after a game he's lost. It's very odd in the sense of, you know, when he's smiling, when he's kind of laid back, when he doesn't seem to have a care in the world, even when they're down, it makes me think he knows something that I, as a viewer, don't know. Maybe he knows that he's the best player in the world and he can turn it on whenever he wants. That may be true. That may not be true. Maybe that's what he thinks. I'm not sure. I just know I didn't see Jordan. I didn't see Kobe. I didn't see most of those great players with kind of the happy-go-lucky demeanor that you see out of Anthony Edwards in today's game. It's very interesting. I'm not saying Anthony Edwards is wrong. He shouldn't be grumpy. He shouldn't be, mad for mad's sake. I mean, I would think you'd be upset when you're losing, but different kind of cat, different strokes for different folks. That's fine. But he is a little different, Ant-Man. He's definitely a little different, and we'll see if he shows up along with his teammates in Game 3. Because again, he was certainly more aggressive in Game 2, but you need to find a way to win this game if you're Minnesota. Game 3 tomorrow night, and I think they're going to play better in Minnesota. I think they'll be better in Minnesota. Who knows if they'll win the game, though? That is a completely different kettle of fish. So there is that. Now, folks, let's talk a little bit about the Eastern Conference Finals. Game 1. Boy, oh boy, what a game! I am telling you, look, I'm a Knicks fan, but I can't tell you how much I enjoyed Game 1. I mean, it was so much fun to watch. Even though rooting hard for the Knicks, I am marveling at Indiana. That Pacer team, it is a fascinating team. They have so many different guys who can score. And we've talked about this before, as has anyone who watches basketball. Indiana can score the ball. They just can. They can hit you from multiple different areas, all right? So I give them a ton of credit for that. But they are really, really, really fun to watch in a surprising way to me. Now, I have to say, their scoring Indiana's ability to score, it is so relentless that you have to kind of pick your poison. You don't want to get someone who's not shooting hot by stopping someone who is hot and giving them to pass the ball. But I would tell you this: if Aaron Nesmith, you can't let him hit 5 threes in the second half of the fourth quarter to get that Indiana team back in the game if you're the Knicks. I mean, you have to just take your chances on somebody else beating you. You can't let Nesmith hit three-pointer after three-pointer after three-pointer to get the Indiana Pacers to what ended up being the game-tying shot by Tyrese Halliburton to go into overtime. I have to let somebody else beat me. Now, maybe if Nesmith is not shooting those threes, it would have been a Halliburton, or it would have been T.J. O'Connor, or it would have been Nimhard. It could have been anybody on the floor for Indiana because they can all score. But I definitely can't let Aaron Nesmith continue to make threes as the Indiana Pacers creep closer and closer and closer to the lead. You know what was funny about watching that game? And it kind of reminded me of the Cleveland series as well. When you're playing Indiana, even if they're down, once they start to hit shots late in the game, it's like the team with the lead, this being the New York Knicks in this example, no matter how big the lead is, 14 points, 9 points, 7 points, they feel like it feels like they're just hanging on. They're literally trying to hang on to the lead. And they're up, I think, 9 with like a minute left. I mean, it is unbelievable. Very rare in sports where you see the team who's chasing. It feels like they're almost the inevitable winners when the team with the lead actually still has the lead. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Jalen Brunson, he has to find ways to stay on the floor. He cannot keep fouling. Look, is he a great defensive player? No. But you have to find a way to keep yourself in the game. If you're not a great defensive player anyway, don't worry about it. I mean, turn yourself into Luka Doncic if you have to. But the Knicks, we need you on the floor, Jalen. So you have to stop fouling, all right? Please, please, please. Karl Anthony Towns, I had to tell you, he has kind of a strange game for a big man, in my opinion. He hits some of the toughest shots consistently that you'll ever see any player take, which is why, in some ways, you can't really kill him on shot selection because he can take and make a tough shot like nobody's business. It's very, very odd. Karl Anthony Towns is a unique player. They need more from him, and they got plenty from him in game one, but they need even more from him tonight. Knicks have to find a way to win this game tonight, folks. I mean, look, is it a must win? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's game two of a series. But it is a game the Knicks need to win. You do not want to go to Indiana down 0-2 with the first game in their building being game 3. Yeah, you could beat Cleveland and win game 3, and then it all comes down to game 4. You could go that route, but you don't want to have to do that. Please. I know there's been a lot of talk about how tired the Knicks will end up being with the Indiana running game. Yes, that is true. I thought Jalen Brunson looked tired in the fourth quarter, and he got plenty of rest on the bench because of the foul trouble. But I thought he looked physically tired, especially even though he scored, I think, 3 baskets in overtime. I think he looked tired in overtime too. If you're the Knicks, after losing game 1, you cannot afford to hold anything back. If you're gonna be tired anyway, especially if this series goes 5, 6, 7 games. You're gonna be tired anyway. Use all the energy you can to get a win tonight. That's the only thing that matters. Worry about dealing with fatigue in game 4, 5, 6, 7 if it goes that far. Worry about that fatigue later. You got to empty the chamber tonight because they're going to run on you whether you're tired or you're not. So you might as well run as much as you can to stay with them and make sure you win the game because game 2 is all that matters right now. It is the only thing that matters. Forget about saving yourself. Forget about pacing yourself. Forget about being able to get through an entire 7-game series potentially. No, get through game 2. Get through it with a win, New York Knicks. Because if you don't, it is going to be trouble. Because this Indiana team is not afraid of anyone, especially the Knicks. I have to say, watching Indiana play, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the, obviously one of my favorite teams of all time, the Showtime Lakers with Magic Johnson. I mean, the Lakers they could run on anybody. And they were just an exhausting team to play against. And Indiana kind of reminds me a little bit of that Showtime Laker team. I guess I guess you could say from like 84 to 88 really was their prime. And Indiana reminds me a little bit of that team. And they have more scores than the Lakers had on their team. Indiana does. They're going to be a handful. And Indiana could definitely win this series. I still, I picked the Knicks to win in 7. But I could certainly be wrong about that. It is going to be a fascinating series to watch because these are 2 evenly matched teams as far as I'm concerned, the Knicks and the Pacers. And I think they're going to go back and forth throughout the course of the series, however long or short that series is. But Knicks, you want to find a way to win tonight. You definitely want to find a way to win tonight. It's fascinating because let's talk a little bit about Tyrese Halliburton. He's an interesting character. Now, the choke sign, to me, it's immaterial. It does not matter that he made the choke sign and they only got to overtime versus winning the game. To me, that makes zero difference. He got him to overtime. All right, it's a big play. It's a huge bucket. Reminds you a little bit of Kawhi Leonard's bucket against the Sixers with a 4-bouncer. I mean, when that shot by Halliburton with no time on the clock hits the back of the rim, bounces straight up, the suspense was unbelievable. My jaw literally, I'm watching it as the ball comes down from the bounce through the net, my jaw dropped. This is why I love the buzzer beater in basketball more than any other play. We talked about this a few weeks ago. More than the alley, not the alley-oop, more than the Hail Mary, more than the walk-off in baseball. There is something that is unbelievably compelling about the buzzer beater or the game-winning shot in basketball. Now, this was a game-tying shot by Halliburton, but boy, oh boy, got him to overtime. And you tell me that shot wasn't a big-time shot. You convince me that that's not a big-time shot, even though it was for a tie versus the win. And I'll tell you, you're absolutely wrong. That was one of the greatest shots in the history of the game, I think, because the Indiana Pacers did go on to win the game in overtime. But they can't do that without Halliburton making that shot to tie the game to get them to overtime. Halliburton's public enemy number 1 in New York right now, and well-deserved. He is going to continue to be public enemy number 1 in New York. I think for the foreseeable future, certainly for the next few games. He is an incredibly talented player who is really enjoying the moment, and he's going to let you know how much he enjoys it. He's not going anywhere, and I think neither are his teammates. So if the Knicks are going to win this series, they're going to have to do just that. They're going to have to win it. Indiana's not going to give it to them. They're not going to fold. They're not going to collapse. The New York Knicks are going to have to win this series if they want to advance. and we will see if they can do that. I think they can, but certainly it is going to be a monumental task for the New York Knicks. And let's see if Coach Thibodeau can find a way to kind of slow down that Indiana fast break. I'd like to see him slow down the break a little bit just because Indiana can score in the half court too. So, try to stop giving them so many easy points. This goes back to conditioning and fatigue and all that stuff. The Knicks have to find a way to get back. They got to dip into those reserves of energy, get back on defense, and make Indiana score from the half court. Can't give them these easy buckets and let Indiana score from the half court, because then you got no chance. You're concerned, you being me, about whether or not the Knicks can continue to score with Indiana. They did a great job. They did a great job in game one, but they still lost the game. And you don't know what you're going to get out of Payne from game to game, or Bridges. Josh Hart was kind of, he's up and down anyway, but you don't count on him from scoring. But you don't know if Karl Anthony Towns can score like he did throughout the remainder of these series. So that's why game one was such a tough loss for the Knicks, because they found ways to put the ball in the basket and still lost, especially the fact that they lost by losing the lead late. So you hope, if you're a Knicks fan, that the Knicks can continue to find ways to score the basketball, because they're going to need to if they're going to beat Indiana. That's stating the obvious. So, looking forward to game 2 tonight. It's going to be awesome. Now, folks, that brings us to one of my favorite portions of any show, the portion where I get to ask you a question. And that question is, what are you drinking tonight? Well, I can tell you what I'm drinking. And that is the Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% Rye. Folks, tell you a little bit about this product, and I'll tell you what I think about it. This is distilled. Everyone knows Whistle Pig. They are a brand that came out a few years ago, maybe 15, 20 years ago. And when they first came on the market, everyone felt like they were the only ones who discovered Whistle Pig. Hey, have you heard of Whistle Pig? Hey, have you heard of Whistle Pig? We all thought that until Whistle Pig started raising their prices. And they were like, oh, I guess everybody has heard of Whistle Pig. Very annoying. But they usually make a very quality product. It's largely overpriced, especially compared to what they came onto the market with. But Whistle Pig, they do a great job. Drinkable whiskeys and bourbons. They're just wildly, wildly, wildly overpriced. But that's neither here. Let's talk about this Whistle Pig Piggyback. They're distilled. It is distilled in Vermont, and it's bottled by Whistle Pig Whiskey Company in Mineville, New York. Now, it's believed that for this product, this Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% Rye, it's rumored that they get their rye from Alberta, Canada, and they distill it down in Vermont and have it bottled in New York. Who knows if that's true or not? It's probably true, but who knows? Regardless, this is the stuff they have in the bottle, and we'll deal with that. It is pot distilled. It's a small batch. It clocks in at 58.9% ABV, which makes it 117.8 proof. Now, as it says on the label, is 100% rye. That's the mash bill. It's 6 years old, and I got this particular bottle for $60. Now, folks, this is a fine wine and good spirits bottle. You can see there, I'm going to show for those of you watching on YouTube, it says selected by Fine Wine and Good Spirits, and it gives you the barrel number. And I have to say, you don't even see this bottle on the Whistle Pig website. One of the things that's unique about this bottle, again, it's 58.9% ABV. So, as most of you who watch this show religiously know, I'm a fan of higher proof whiskey and bourbon. So, what do I think of this? It's spicy. It has good flavor profile. I happen to think that it's almost like you get almost like an orange peel kind of taste from it. Kind of like a mid-weight rye also. Supposedly, I don't know if this is true or not, because I didn't get a chance to do a deep dive in the research on this one, but there are some who say that this piggyback rye, 100% rye, was designed specifically for cocktail use, which I think would be interesting because the way it drinks neat is very enjoyable. It's a little spicy to drink neat all night, but I can't imagine it doing a bad job in a cocktail. I think it would probably be fantastic in a cocktail, to be absolutely honest. Do I like paying $60 a bottle for the Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% rye? No, I do not. I would really like it if it was like $38, $39 a bottle. Maximum $45 a bottle. I don't know that I would pay $60 again for this bottle unless I have a hard time finding this bottle at the ABV that I bought this one for. I mean, again, it's 117.8 proof. That's probably worth, for me, an extra $12, especially if I like it, and I do. So there is the Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% rye. That is, I think it would be a nice addition to your bar. It's not something you have to get, but if you run into it at the right ABV, definitely give it a shot. There are some Whistle Pigs that only the piggyback ryes that only like 100 proof or 96 proof or 101 proof. No, if you can find one that's like 115, 117 or more proof, pay the extra $10, $15, give it a shot. I think you'll like having it around. Yeah, I think you will. So that is the show for today, folks. Don't forget, as always, to like, to subscribe, tell everyone and anyone that you know how much you love the Stomp the Tee podcast, because we are here for you week in, week out, albeit a day late this week, but we're still here. And definitely you're going to find content here that you won't find anywhere else online. So support the show. Tell folks how much you like it. Well, that is it for today. My name is Cyrus Farmer. This is the Stomp the Tee podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, we will see you next week on the first tee.